In this particular video, you're going to learn invaluable blog post creation secrets. So before we actually jump into how to write blog posts, the first thing I want to talk about is changing a few settings in your WordPress dashboard before you actually do that. So what I'm going to do next is go to the WordPress dashboard, or the administrative panel that controls your whole blog. Next, I'm going to adjust the permalinks settings. The permalinks are basically links that make your WordPress blog more search engine friendly. And you'll see what I mean in just a minute. And then I'll talk about changing a few settings here and there to make your WordPress blog ready. Alright, so right now I'm looking at the WordPress dashboard, or the control panel. And if I scroll down to the bottom, I'll notice there's a settings link. Click that settings link, and if you scroll down again, you'll notice there's a link for permalinks. Now, this is what I mean by search engine not friendly URLs. By default, it's going to look like this. It has a question mark P equals 123. But what I want it to look more like is, anytime I see some sort of post, then I can actually see the words inside of the link. Alright, so what do you need to do? Click custom structure and then put two percentage signs, and within the percentage sign, post name. So percent, post name, percent. What does that do? Well, if I click on save changes, and actually go visit the site, you'll see what I mean. See how I go to the URL and it says hello world? Well, that's the title of my blog. So every time I create, a title of my blog, it's going to appear up here, and it looks a lot search engine friendly versus some sort of number like 123. Because when the search engine comes to your page, it's going to say, okay, what does 123 mean? But when they see in the URL, they see, oh, breakup solution slash whatever your blog post is. It's a lot more search engine friendly that way. Once you do your permalink settings, then you can edit other things, sort of like your links. These are by default the links that are going to appear on your site. And because I don't need these, I'm just going to click on them. And then click delete and apply. Now let's talk about blog posts. Some things just to keep in mind: when you create your blog post, you always want to capture attention. The question is, how do you capture attention? Well, you want to capture attention by having catchy headlines and titles. Because when somebody reads your blog post, the first thing that they're going to see is the title of the blog post. And images as well. Putting images into your blog post can help. And I'm going to give you some examples of catchy headlines just so you can get an idea of what you yourself can create for your blog posts and where you can get images. If you're unsure about any type of blog post title and you want to get some sort of idea on good blog post titles, then I will recommend that you go to ezinearticles.com, as you can see in the address bar here. So what you can do is go to this site, and you'll notice that each article has a title. Catchy titles tend to have numbers in them. Numbers, top 10 ways to do this, 5 ways to do this, or how to do this in blank number of days. So using numbers, as you can see, and using keywords that strike, verbal, like verb-based keywords. Top 10 ways to propose a marriage. Top 10 ways to get past voicemail, top 10 ways that you can bring in blah blah blah, top 10 ways to score goals in the FIFA 10. So as you can see here, a lot of numbers, and you can go through easy articles. You can even find something that's similar to your niche and go from there. Now, the second thing I talked about was images. If you go to Google and you type in royalty free images, then you'll pretty much have access to lots of images that you can pay for and put into your blogs. Now, a lot of these images are pretty cheap. They're $1, $2 here and there, but pictures make 1,000 words, and you just got to keep in mind the reason why I'm focusing on royalty free images is because you don't want to go on Google and just pick an image and use it. That's called a violation of copyright law, and you definitely don't want to do that, because if you use an image that's owned by somebody else and you don't have rights to it, they can sue you for a lot more money and you end up losing a lot. One site that I would recommend is called bigstockphoto.com. I use them a lot. They have over 4,584,000 royalty stock photos, and as you can see, these photos are actually very, very good quality. So sometimes you can take a picture's worth 1,000 words, and back up what you're trying to say, because when you're focusing on different types of learners, audio learners, visual learners, whatever. Visual learners, you could capture them with a image, and then the people that want to read the text can just read the text. Or you could have a video, just get you some ideas there. But this is how you can get images by going to royalty-free sites. Now, when you write your blog post, you want to write it just like a sales letter. And what I mean by that is this. You're not really selling anybody anything, but you want to make smaller paragraphs, and you want to be able to use white space so it doesn't look all clumped together. And the reason why is because if you write your blog post in a way that everything looks very clumped together, most likely somebody's not going to want to read it, because to people, to your audience, and to readers, when they read something, if something's clumped together, they don't have a lot of time, then they're going to skip out and go to the next page. So you want to make it short, quick, and straight to the point, and use your white space. You also want to use headlines and subheadlines, and the reason for that is because let's say they read the interesting, catchy headline, right? And then as they're reading through the smaller paragraphs through your blog post, you want to keep their attention flowing. So if you use subheadlines allow you to break up your whole blog post. So if you have a longer blog post, you don't want to make it too long, but if you have a longer blog post, then you can use subheadlines to keep it flowing. You can ask questions and things like that. You also want to use bold, italicize, and highlighting. That allows your blog posts and the parts of your blog post to stand out. And another thing to keep in mind is you want to write like how you would write to a friend. Write informally. Don't write boring informally. That's what they teach you to do in your high school or college. They tell you to write formally. But what you're doing here is you're trying to build a relationship. Building a relationship to somebody, if you can write to them like a friend, perhaps even how you talk, then it makes it easier for them to read it. Another thing to keep in mind is keywords. You want to put keywords that you want to rank on into your blog posts. And sort of like how I showed you earlier in the previous videos on how to use WordTracker's free keyword tool by going to freekeywords.wordtracker.com or going to keywordspy.com. Finding keywords that you want to rank on that doesn't have a whole lot of competition, but it's very targeted keyword that people are searching into putting into the search engine, you can use those keywords in your blog posts as well.